Hey, it's Kassy. Today we're going to talk all about beginning art journaling. So I love art journaling. Lots of people are doing it. I get a lot of questions like, why do I want to do this? How do I start? What supplies do I need? What is this all about, right? So I just wanted to take a minute today to talk about that and talk about why I art journal, what supplies you need to get started, and answer some of your questions that I've been receiving. If you have more questions after watching this video, please leave them in the comments below and I will do my best to answer them. If I can quickly answer them in the comments, I will. Or if there's a lot of questions, I will collect them and then make another video to talk further about all of this. Art journaling is so wonderful and such a great way to just release and do a lot of things. And we're going to get into it. But this video really is for anyone that maybe you're already a paper crafter, card maker, scrapbooker, whatever, and you've been hearing about art journaling, but you haven't really taken the step to start doing it yet, and you want to learn more. Okay, so that's what we're here for today. I've got a few supplies on my table here today. I'm going to talk through all of this. And then, this is, like I said, the beginning. So if you get here and you have these things and you start playing, so exciting, and I really hope you do, and I hope you share it with me. I will be making another video later on to talk about the next step. So there are so many supplies. There is a world of art supplies out there that you can use in your art journal, and it is vast. And I know that's where people get stuck and overwhelmed and all of that. So I'm starting really simple today, so just know that. But again, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I will address them or make another video, whatever I need to do. So I'm so excited. Let's get started, okay? So I'm going to push all of this off to the side just for a second. We'll go through each thing sort of individually, and maybe we'll make a quick journal page just because we're here and we got the stuff out. We might as well, right? There are a million different types of journals out there that you could get to use to create in, okay? And I just picked 2 from my stash, but honestly, I probably have 50 journals. I don't want to overwhelm you though. So we're going to start with 2. And I chose the 2 that are on my desk today because they have different types of paper inside of them. So the first one on my desk here, this is a 6x6. I chose it for a couple reasons. It's 6x6, which is a nice place to start. 6x6 or maybe even like 5x7 if you've never journaled before and you want to get started. I recommend a smaller size because it's a little less intimidating and a little less overwhelming, right? You have a smaller surface to work on. So it just makes it a little bit easier to get started. But there are all different size journals and materials inside of them, and so or paper, excuse me. So yeah, there's so many choices. I like this one because of the size and also because it has craft paper in it. It's very thick, extremely thick craft paper. I've never even seen craft paper quite this thick before. It's amazing. I love it so much. It's from Dina Wakley and Ranger, so you can find it wherever you buy Ranger products. And you can see I've made a few pages in here already. I've got a bunch of backgrounds started. I do love working in this journal quite a bit. I love how much the color pops off the page when you have this craft paper background. So one of my favorite journals to work in. I really love it. Highly recommended. Okay, I'm going to put this aside for a second. This is a Jane Davenport journal, and I just love Jane quite a bit. She's one of my favorite artists. So is Dina. I love Dina as well. And this paper I really like because it is, pretty sure this is a watercolor. Yeah, this is the watercolor paper, and I just have some, I just play in my journals. Practice drawing faces, doing all the things, whatever. So this paper is really great because, oh, I like those people. Those are fun. Anyway, it's, watercolor paper. This is what I wanted to show you. And this book is a bit bigger. I don't know exactly. I'm going to guess like maybe A4, or like almost 9 by 11. Somewhere around there. It's a little bit bigger, a little bit more space to cover, but depending on what you're looking for, this could be a good option as well. And again, there are probably like 50 other journal options out there. So, you know, just find the one that works for you and go for it. Okay, next we're going to talk about some tools. So this is from the Kassy Studio line. They have, so these pieces come off here, you can see, and there's other parts that you can put on here. So that it's just like this handle. And then we have a brayer. A brayer I highly recommend for lots of reasons, but it's a really great way to spread mediums on, paint, or different things. This is a palette knife. This is a shorter palette knife. They also have a longer one as well, but this is, any kind of palette knife is great. And then, of course, paintbrushes. Paintbrushes of all shapes and sizes are super great for art journaling. We also have stamps. So I have a couple different kinds of stamps. I have 3 main types of stamps. First, we have foam stamps. I love these so much. They're so durable. You can use acrylic paint or ink or whatever on them, and they're just really sturdy and durable. I use them in my art journal. I use them on jelly plates, all sorts of things, and they have so many different designs. And there's a few companies that sell them. So foam stamps are really fun. Also, we have, these are photopolymer clear stamps. Clear stamps are always nice because you can see exactly where you're putting it on your page. So that's a nice option. And then there are red rubber. And I love red rubber. I think it's probably the best quality of a stamp if you want really good intricate detail and really good coverage every time. But not everyone offers red rubber, right? Or rubber in general. So, but I would say the most common probably are the rubber or the photopolymer. They do also make acrylic stamps, and I use them from time to time. They're not my favorite, if I'm being honest. I don't think the quality is quite as good, but they can work and they're fine. Foam stamps are coming up, I think, a bit more and becoming more popular, and they have more designs. But as far as like, accessibility and just like variety of designs, probably clear stamps at this point are the most available. Okay, so those are different kinds of stamps you can use. The next is stencils. Oh my gosh, stencils are probably my favorite thing ever. I love stamps too. I love journals. I love all of it. But stencils are so amazing, and they come in a million different styles and designs and sizes and all the things, right? This is from Kassy Studio. I think these are all from Cat Cur. Yes, they are from different collections, but I just picked a few of my favorites. This has a bunch of numbers and symbols, really great for backgrounds. Same thing with the circles here. I like that they're kind of varied and different sizes and organization. And then I really love these birds. They just speak to me so much. I love birds right now, and these birds are just darling. So these are a couple of my favorites, but again, there's, I believe these are maybe 5 by 8. Let's see the actual like usable area. Looks like maybe 8 1/4. I'm just roughly guessing here. So like, yeah, about 5 1/4 by 8 1/4, something like that. But again, they come in all sizes from like maybe 3 by 3 all the way up to 12 by 12 or even bigger. So stencils are amazing, amazing. And then, you know, of course we have acrylic paint. And again, this is a beginner art journal set, right? So all of the acrylics, acrylic paint, acrylic markers, acrylic ink, any way you get acrylic spray, you know, there's like, acrylic comes in so many different forms. So all of those are great. I just chose regular paint just as a nice, simple way to get started. And of course you also need an ink pad with your stamps. You don't need it. You can also use paint with your stamps, but it is also nice to have an ink pad. And then finally, I will say that I think as an art journaler, you definitely need some kind of acrylic paint pen, whether it's from Posca or Royal Talons or Marvicita or whoever, Arteza. Like there's lots of brands out there that have them. Whoever's you like, there's a lot of different colorways, all of that stuff. So get yourself some acrylic paint pens. And I think this is a good way to start. Stamps, stencils, ink, paint, some paint markers, a couple of tools to move your paint and stuff around, and a journal to work in. This is really, you probably have at least half or more of this in your stash already. So I would just say maybe if you've never used stencils before, go out, type in stencils on Google or wherever you shop online, or go to a local craft store and look at their stencils and pick your favorite design or pick a couple, and then just start playing. And I've got lots of videos. There are many videos on YouTube all over the place. I also have some, you know, I use stencils pretty much every project. So I would say maybe if you don't have those, go out and get yourself some. Okay, so let's make a quick little journal page for fun. I think I'll just work on this page. I do really like to use binder clips or journal clips to hold my pages down, especially when you get going and they get kind of chunky. They tend to want to like sit up a little bit, and it makes it a little harder. So I just grab a few pages and put the clip on. I put it as close to the edge as I can so it lays nice and flat and I can access most of the page. I've got another little clip over here to keep this side flat. Even though I'm not really working on this page, it's still nice to have it nice and flat. So this is how I like to work. All right, and so I'm going to just start with some paint and some stencils. The other thing I didn't mention when I was talking about supplies that is very important is either a paper towel or a baby wipe or both, just for, you know, cleaning and going back and forth between things. So those are also great supplies to have at hand. Okay, so I'm just going to make a quick one-page sort of thing here, and we'll see how it goes. So let's just start with pink, because that's my favorite color in the whole wide world. And so I just like to put some paint here and there and just let it go, because you know, a lot of people have trouble with breaking a blank page, or like how to get started, and they sort of freeze up and don't know what to do. So oftentimes I will just throw some color down and pick a tool to move it around. So we're going to stick with the tools that I have showed you here. So we've got a palette knife. We can scrape the paint and look at how cool that looks. And I highly recommend trying all of the ways. Okay, so we're scraping the pink paint around. You get some really interesting marks this way, and it doesn't lay down very evenly, which is, you know, sometimes a desired effect. So that's a really fun way to do it. You can also use your brayer. Okay, so I'll move some of the white paint around with the brayer, and that gives you a different look. And we're just gonna cover this whole page like this. How about that? And now we have a little bit of blendedness because we use the brayer. So each different way that you lay the paint down and move it around on your page, you know, of course, a paintbrush is going to give you yet another look and feel to this. So I like this. I like that it's mostly pink with just little bits of white here and there. And you notice there's still some craft paper showing through. Totally okay. But now I don't have a blank page anymore. I've got something to start with, and I can just build on top of it. The other tool that I didn't mention in the like starter kit for art journaling is this. This is a heat gun. It comes in many styles. Many companies sell them. This is a Sizzix one, and I like the Sizzix one because it has a low and a high pressure, or not pressure, but a low and high heat. So I think this is an essential tool, but it's definitely not required to start. But I really like it because I'm impatient and I have to now wait for this paint to dry before I can do the next thing. And so I really want to speed up the drying process. So I'm going to use this, but actually, as I was talking, I realized that there's something I want to do before this paint fully dries, and some of it already is. So a really fun technique that I like to do is to take a stencil while the paint is still wet, and take a baby wipe and just pick up some of the paint, okay? And I'm not going to go everywhere. I'm just kind of going here and there, and probably some of this paint is already dry and is not going to play nice, and that's okay, because I did talk and wait too long, and I kind of forgot I wanted to do this. But I do want to show you that it is possible to pull up some paint and to get sort of the negative of this effect. Isn't that cool? So now we have some fun dots going on our page. So that's one way to use a stencil. Now I'm going to dry the rest of this. Okay, this is nice and dry now, and it was quick because I used my heat tool. So that it really is a great tool to have. I will say it's not necessarily essential, but it is highly recommended. How about that? I do want to do another stencil, use another stencil next. And I just want to show you another way that you can use it. So I'm going to get my teal, or excuse me, it's not teal, it's turquoise green. All of these paints too are from Amsterdam line of acrylics, and they're fantastic. They're really great. They have tons of colors and so many great ways to use them. So I've just got a little bit here on my mat. Anyway, this is my Sizzix multimedia mat. It is a silicone mat, and if I just show you real quick here, it's nice and flat on this side, and it's got little wells here if you're going to be mixing paints or inks or things like that, so they won't slide all over your paper or your mat, excuse me. So it's a really great tool to have here as well. I've just got a makeup sponge, just really inexpensive makeup sponge. This is also a great tool to have, especially if you're going to be applying paint. Okay, so now I'm just going to, so I don't have to have this just in the middle and putting everything right down the middle, right? I can work up here, and notice I'm going off the page a little bit. Okay, you can have that there like that, and look at how cool it looks. So cool. I love stencils, are just the most magnificent tool ever. I think, oh, it's so hard to pick favorites, but I really think these are maybe my favorite. This is just a really great way to add some interesting patterns and textures and things like that in your background if you want. Okay, nice. All right, I want another one. I kind of want one over here, so I'm going to take off my clip for just a minute. And I'm going to go right here. And notice I'm just using little bits of my stencil here and there. I'm not, I don't have to use the whole thing. I don't have to like do it all at once. I think this is looking really great. And let's just do like a tiny bit right here. I don't even have to do a whole line. I just did a little bit right there. So I kind of like how this looks, and I'm good with it. So I have more paint here, and everything's already kind of going. So I'm just gonna use up the rest of my paint, and I'm just going to put it through this stencil on the opposite page. So now this other page, well, I'm not going to make it today with you here. I am, I am sort of getting it ready for when I decide to work on this page. Now I'll have a background started. And this is what this looks like if you put paint through this stencil, right in the middle of the page. So that looks really great as well. So either way is great, and there are no rules. Okay, so now we've used that stencil as well in a whole new way. Okay, next I talked to you about stamps, and this is a foam stamp, and foam stamps are great to use with paint, with actual acrylic paint. I love doing it. It's one of my favorite techniques. So I'm just going to make a little space here so I can get this set up, and I'm going to put a little bit of white paint here. Again, this is from the Amsterdam line. And I'm going to use my brayer to pick some up, and I'm just going to brayer it right onto my foam stamp. And now I've got acrylic paint on my stamp here, and I'm just going to pounce here and there. I'm just going to keep reapplying. And foam stamps aren't always like, they're not meant to be perfect. You're not supposed to, you're not meant to always get a perfect application. That's not really the point of it. These are really just great. I mean, you can, I'm not saying you can't, but for me at least, the way I like to use them is more of like creating texture and interesting things going on in the background. So there we go. So now I'm going to just take the rest of the paint that's on here and put it onto my other page. So I've got, more going on over here, and I got a good background started. And then I do try to just wipe it off with a baby wipe or something. Sometimes it can be tricky, and sometimes I forget, if I'm being totally honest. So, it's not that big of a deal, but it is good to wipe them off, but they're just really, really great tools. Okay. Moving on to the next step. So in between each thing that I do, I am drying so that the paint that I've put down doesn't move around. Okay, for the next step, we're going to look at some stamps here. So for some other stamps, we just used the foam stamp, which is great for the background. I love this really big face here. This is from Kat Kerr in the Sizzix Studio line. And I think I'm just going to put it here and let it be the focal point for this page because it's so beautiful. How can I not, right? So I need a... Just real quick, gonna do this. You can also use the registration tool with the stamp positioner. That's a great tool to have. It's not near me at the moment. It is pretty close, but it's far enough away I don't want to go get it. And I'm going to use a different color of archival ink. We've got, I'm not using black this time. I'm going to use Petunia, which is a really dark purple. And so I'm just inking up this whole stamp. Inking up the whole stamp, and then I'm going to choose where it goes. I think I kind of like it off to the side over here, and just give it a good press. I also like these little stars up here. This is the point where you just kind of play and have fun with it. Okay. And so I'm going to use my ink again, probably the same one. I just want the image. I don't mind that it's all purple. It's purple. It's standing out from the background. So that looks good to me. I'm just going to position those stars the way I want them. So cute. I'm going to put these in a couple places because I'm kind of loving them. Maybe I'll put some right up here off the edge. I probably should be good now, but I can't help it. Okay, I'm doing it this way. There we go. I think that's good. Actually, I'm going to do some down here. Stamping is a great way to create an interesting background for sure. Okay, and I used ink there, but you can use stamps, you know, any of your stamps with acrylic paint or anything like that. Okay, and then there's some of these red rubber stamps. There's a bunch of really great ones here from Dina Wakley. And so I'm going to use these three, and I'm going to put them on this block all together. And I'm just going to stamp all three of them at the same time, you know, and I don't even care if they're exactly like together or not. It's just, they're just really beautiful. And I love what the saying on them. So we're going to use this as my words here. All right. Maybe I'll just do it here once. I was going to go all the way up the side, but maybe I'm not going to do that this time. I don't know. Yeah, I kind of like it right where it is. Okay, so I'm going to be done stamping now. I used 3 different kinds of stamps on here, which is super fun. Okay, I like the white. I'm going to outline each of these words individually, or phrases, excuse me. Okay, and then I kind of want to outline these stars. I know they already had an outline, but I kind of want something a little different. And this is a way to bring that color from the background forward a little bit more and put it in some other places. It's nice to have the repeating colors. So see, with just a few supplies, okay, I used a couple different kinds of stamps, but if you just have one kind of stamp, that's great. Just use that. That's totally great. You can stamp with ink or paint or lots of other things, but that's what we're focused on today. So that is amazing. The stencils we used in a few different ways. And again, if you haven't used some of these supplies before, I just recommend going and picking 1 or 2 of your favorites from wherever you get your art supplies. If it's somewhere local, fantastic, or online, that's great too. Oops, I missed a star up here. And then just start playing. And if you have questions, you can always reach out to me. You can leave a comment below, or you can, send me a message or reach out to me on any social media. I'm in lots of places, so you definitely can reach me. I'm going to outline this face just to give her more prominence. But yeah, definitely. So just try these things out and see what you think, and give them a chance. Art journaling, I didn't really talk about the reason why. So I guess I'll do that now while I'm doodling here a little bit. So art journaling for me is just a really great way to release any stored emotions in my body if I need to just get things out, even if even if it doesn't make sense on the page, or when the page is done, it doesn't really look like much. Like, the point of it is to just give you a place to release and to let go and to get the emotions out of your body. It's so important to just have some sort of practice, whether it's art journaling or something else, to allow your body to process and move those emotions through and out of your body. Super important. So this is just a really fun form of self-care and way to do that. Also, it's really fun if you get some new products. Maybe you've never used a stencil before and you're going to go buy some stencils and you're like, ooh, I don't want to make a project that a bunch of people are going to see and I'm not happy with it, right? So maybe you just get a journal and get your journal out and start creating in it and play around. And if you don't like the result of something you make, you close the journal and nobody has to see it. And it's no big deal, right? You're just playing and practicing. And I think, there's lots of benefits to using a journal, but I honestly think one of my favorite reasons to journal is just to play. It's to be able to play and have fun and put some paint or ink or whatever, writing, whatever it is you want, down on a piece of paper and just have fun and have no expectations and no result that you have to achieve. It's just a way to just sort of play and see. You can play with colors, see what colors work well together or what don't. So many things that you can do. So I hope that this gave you a great start to art journaling. Here's the page that I finished. Super simple, right? So if I recap, just so you can remember, and you could also rewatch this video, but we started with just putting some paint down on the page. We had 2 colors. We moved it around with a couple different tools, and that was it, right? And then dried it. And then we did some other, we used some other stencils to create some other interesting shapes on the page. And then we stamped on it with a few different stamps in a few different ways. And that's it. And then we did some doodling, and it's just really simple. It doesn't have to take a lot of time. And I really like the way this turned out. So just to recap, we used the rubber and the clear photopolymer and the foam stamps, 3 different ways of stamping, all of which are very effective and very fun to use. We use stencils. Oh, we didn't get to use the bird, bummer, but we did use a couple different stencils in a couple different ways, and it's a really great way to add some fun patterns and stuff in your background, or it could even be the focal point if you'd like. And then we also stamped. We stamped mainly with ink this time, but you can definitely stamp with, we stamped with paint with the foam stamp. So we did it both ways. I forgot about that. And then we used some art markers to just do a little bit of doodling. So there we go. So I hope this was helpful for you. If you have more questions about getting started with art journaling, I'd be happy to answer them for you. And if there's a lot of questions, maybe I will make another video answering those questions. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.